Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
Tra-la-la, and BlueDragonFive.
And welcome to the Main Street Cinema, the show where we discuss the finer points of filmmaking. I had a brain fart there, Dragon. I was like, what is the answer again? I'm dumb. Okay, folks, so Dragon and I, we're about a week late with this, but coincidentally, Dragon, we ended up seeing this on the same day. Of course, we talked about it in our trailer. I'll just kind of briefly, loosey-goosey. Dragon, the one thing I want to bring up with, if you and I had a time machine, Dragon, let me pose this ridiculous hypothetical, okay?
Oh, God.
If you and I had a time machine, and the only limit...
Quick question, what's the time machine look like?
I don't have time to get into that right now.
All right, go on. So we had time machine.
The only limitation is that instead of going anywhere in time, we could just go to any point in our childhood, right? Tell me one of the first things you would want to do is go to one of those goddamn scholastic book fairs that we keep talking about, Dragon. If I had a time machine that could take me back to childhood, I would totally go to one of those scholastic book fairs, no question. And that's all I want to really bring up in regards to my connection to Captain Underpants. Like, of course, I haven't read the books in forever. The only thing I really remember about the books, besides the titles and covers, is, of course, the Flippo vision. But I mean, it's a part of my childhood, Dragon. It was as much a part of my childhood as Calvin and Hobbes or A Series of Unfortunate Events or The Peanuts were. You know what I mean? Just a staple of those scholastic book fairs. So that's all I got to say about the background. I'm sure we can get more on our thoughts on the actual Captain Underpants books in the spoiler cast. But Dragon, let's just do a quick thoughts coming in, expectations coming in, thoughts going out, and then lead into a brief freeform discussion. We'll keep this brief, we'll keep this light, we'll keep this spoiler-free as we can, barring a few jokes. Dragon, so my expectations coming into this thing, I got to admit, I was like, I didn't really know what to expect. Because here's the thing. Everyone has been talking so much about Wonder Woman, Dragon. This thing got buried by Wonder Woman. In the media, in reviews, everything. Like, I barely saw anyone even posting reviews of this thing. And so I was like, okay, that could either be like just Wonder Woman's getting like a lion's share of the of the attention, or it could be a really bad sign of like it's so bad that they're not screening it for critics. So I was apprehensive, Dragon. Like, this could either be like a Winnie the Pooh style situation, where, of course, Winnie the Pooh famously went up against Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 and completely bombed and no one talked about it. And I ended up loving the movie. Or it could be, like a home situation where no one wants to talk about the movie.
Home.
Can you believe there's a Netflix show about that shit?
Don't remind me.
All right.
Don't remind me of that.
Okay, coming out, Dragon. This is my favorite movie of 2017 so far.
Really?
Yeah. I love this movie.
Logan.
I understand Logan. Just hear me out on Logan. Logan's actually it's number 4 on my list. My top 5 right now would be this at number 1, Guardians Volume 2 at number 2.
Wow, this over Guardians, huh?
This over Guardians, yeah. And then Get Out at number 3, and Logan at number 4, and then rounding out.
Okay, hold the phone. Get Out over Logan, really?
Yes, Get Out. Don't fight me on this. Don't
all right.
Logan isn't as rewatchable as I hoped it would be. Like, Logan is a tough sit, and that's my issue with Logan. Like, when I rank these movies, I rank them based on, like, how much I could see myself just sitting down and rewatching it over and over and over again. Logan's a fucking fantastic movie. It's beautiful. It's artistic as hell. I can't see myself rewatching it more than once or twice.
Essentially, the Schindler's List of comic book movies is what you're saying.
Pretty much, yeah, and that's not a bad thing at all.
Yeah.
That's a great thing, but I'm just saying, like, when it comes to my film rankings, like, these are my favorite movies. They aren't necessarily the best movies. And so Captain Underpants is by far the movie that's come out in 2017, Dragon, that I could just see myself rewatching over and over and over again. I mean, granted, it was a close call between Guardians and Captain Underpants, and maybe my view on Guardians is a bit skewed now that I've seen it 4 times, and it's kind of just like, all right, I get it, Guardians, okay, yeah, it was good. It was awesome. You know what I mean? I'm kind of worn out on Guardians a little bit, so I might come back to that at the end of the year. But as of now, Dragon, I love this movie. I unabashedly, unashamedly love Captain Underpants. I really, really do. And it's such a stupid title, right? It's like, you say it out loud, like, Captain Underpants is an awesome movie, but you don't, you know, it's like, and I'll get into reasons why. I just think this movie's so sharp. It's got really sharp writing. It doesn't rely on toilet humor like I was scared it would.
Well, technically it does rely on toilet humor, but you're right, not the way you thought it would.
It shows great reverence for the source material, almost like a Peanuts movie style reverence to the source material. I definitely got Peanuts movie vibes watching this thing. It's got a unique structure to it. It's got some great fourth wall jokes. You know I love my fourth wall jokes. And just overall, Dragon, it's just really fresh and refreshing, and it's just exactly the type of film I wanted to see out of DreamWorks right now. I'm so happy with this movie. I really am. I don't think people are talking about it nearly as much as they should be.
Yeah.
All right. And now, I don't know, Dragon, you could hate the movie for all I know, so I'm very curious. What were your, give me your 2 cents on it.
Let's see, going into the movie. Well, you know, going into it with the expectations, Jeremy. I had very hopeful expectations because, of course, you're a fan of the Captain Underpants books, and also, you know, it's kind of fun. I was talking over with some friends. I saw the movie with, you know, we were kind of talking over our expectations going into the movie just based on our familiarity and nostalgia for it. I kind of noticed that with the Scholastic Book Fairs, it seems as, you know, after. Bear in mind, the thing with Captain Underpants, the only reason I dropped out, I think a lot of us dropped out, is because there was a hiatus because Dave Pilkey, he kind of dropped off the face of the earth to tend to his ailing father. So that's why we had a few years of that Captain Underpants just kind of died off. And
those few years basically turned us into teenagers, and we're like, we're not going to touch Captain Underpants.
Well, mainly for me, the thing I was going to point out is that during that time, we were kind of steered towards a series of unfortunate events. That's kind of what the term was.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Yeah.
I was talking over the friend. I completely forgot about that. Oh yeah, right. That is what took the place of Captain.
Yep. I feel like Captain Underpants is like 1st through 3rd grade, and then series of unfortunate events is like 4th and 5th grade.
That sounds
if I'm like tracking it in my mind chronologically, just from my personal experience.
That sounds about right, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
then, of course, for me, I had a bunch of Calvin and Hobbes in the mix as well. But
right. Anyway, so just going into it, I had like
forget Goosebumps. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Anyway, you know, going into it, I had hopeful expectations based on nostalgia and the love I had for Captain Underpants, and it was this sort of. DreamWorks is known for having its peaks and valleys between like the real notable properties, or like, you know, the films that are like, oh my god, this is so good. Then there'd be films like Home, or like Home, or like for example, like this one isn't, like, from what I hear, isn't terrible. Again, unfortunately I have to wait to judge it for myself. Like Boss Baby, which it's just like one of the films they put out just to kind of they have.
I liked Boss Baby quite a bit more than I thought I would, but it's nothing great, you know what I mean?
Well, I'm saying something like Boss Baby, or like certain other films, I feel like they're trying to fill out a year, right? It's just feel like they're that's what I'm saying. It's like not like the most, you know, well thought out. Like it's like the most, like, they're not really. It's kind of like the Cats and Wake and Sleep Beauty days, where it's like, you know, Katzenberg like is like selling the heck out of Pocahontas. Like, oh, that may have long things. Like, you're not expecting. It's like, it might be Hamlet, but yeah, it's not really.
Right.
Yeah, that sort of thing. They get that vibe with DreamWorks a lot, where, you know, it's like some films are like, then it can be surprising at times. So in the case of this one, just going into, like, I was hoping against hopes, like, oh boy, it looks like it could be a Peanuts move for Captain Underpants, and that's what struck me at the visual style. We really went on and on about this during the trailers. So the trailers was like, it's like kind of like adapting the style, being real faithful to the source. And it's like, for the longest time when I heard Captain Underpants was listed, there was like this laundry list of properties DreamWorks had possession of. Like, oh my god, I noticed Captain Underpants. Oh my god, when are they going to get to that? I'm dying for them to get to that.
Sure.
And I kept checking back periodically. I was so surprised. Like, I guess the end of last year, like, oh my god, they're working on it for 2017. Hooray! And then it was like, the big question is, are they going to be really gutsy? Are they going to do it in 2D, which then the kind of the best of both worlds. It was like, we're doing the Peanuts kind of rounded 2D style. It's even better. All right. And what's cool about this movie is there's a lot of 2D in it. So just jumping from that into that. So again, high expectations, hoping for the best, unsure of like how it's going to turn, given DreamWorks peaks and valleys track record at times. Like, are they going to put the love in this that was with the Peanuts? Are they going to put like that sort of love into it? And coming out of it, it surpassed my expectations.
Nice.
Like, oh my god, so fan servicey. It was there's so many references. They added some stuff, and they added stuff that didn't feel like it was like really. It changed a few things, but things that were like like if we're gonna bring it to the big screen, it's like it represented like I knew going into they're gonna blend like three books, like three different books into like a first movie without being like directly like, hey, we're gonna adapt everything verbatim, or it's like the first act's this one, second act's this one. Didn't exactly go that route. It was like a natural mixture, but also all throughout the thing there's references to essentially the entire book series in the movie.
Right, yeah.
Without getting into specifics, just there are references to all sorts of books from the series or in this first movie, and it's very fan servicey, and it gets the spirit of the books. It didn't shy away from certain potty humors. It had because that's the thing. Captain Underpants is one of those series that like knows it's potty humor. It knows like bathroom jokes nowadays in animation are like, oh yeah, they're so cringeworthy. In the case of Captain Underpants patented the good bathroom jokes.
It really did, man. It really did. Yeah.
Exactly, because it was like, and what the best thing, one thing I'll say before we move on, there's one last thing is that with Captain Underpants, the experience I enjoyed the most is that realizing with the humor what they were doing is like, oh my god, they did the best thing they could have possibly done with it, where it's something, it's like the 60s Batman effect, where again the kids are gonna love for the jokes, and the adults, especially the longtime fans, but the adults, there's still enough there to enjoy. Like, oh my god, there's this fourth wall humor so clever, and it's like it's making these jokes and these changes in style. It's so clever and entertaining. It's like they kind of reached all audiences with it. I was like so proud. I had such a sense of pride watching it. Oh my god, like I heard kids had this great experience where I still wish the theater was more packed, but of the people that are in there, I could hear children laughing. I could hear adults laughing. It was great.
I had that experience as well, Dragon. I actually did see it in a sold-out theater, though granted I have those weird theaters with the reclining seats, so there's not as many actual people in the theaters, but still, it was...
Yeah, I got the reclining seats too now. They added it to my theaters recently.
Over there. But, every seat was filled in my theater, and I must admit, Dragon, before the movie started, I was like, oh god, are these kids going to be, like, yapping around through the whole movie, Because they were being pretty loud, as kids do. But, by the time the movie got going, I kind of appreciated it, you know what I mean? I was like, all right, this is great. Like, we've got adults over here, enjoying it, laughing at the references that we're getting, laughing at the fourth wall humor. We've got kids laughing at the Captain Underpants jokes and all that. It just all around. Yeah, I just absolutely think it strikes all levels, Dragon. I think, frankly, I'm just really, really surprised. Like, this movie just feels like it's getting buried. Like, no one's talking about it at all. No one's, like, with the Peanuts movie didn't go, like, gangbusters at the box office.
Well, I've seen it got the same, like, kind of star reviews as Wonder Woman, so it's, like, on par with kind of the quality of Wonder Woman in terms of the reviewers.
I mean, that's good. I'm just saying, like, it just seems like all the attention's on Wonder Woman right now, and deservedly so. I think Wonder Woman's a good movie. We'll get into that if we ever do a spoiler cast with Wonder Woman.
You gotta remember, Wonder Woman, of course, is a really big deal because not only is it like kind of the first good female-led superhero film in a long time, but also it's it's just
the first good DC film since frickin' Dark Knight.
And in 75 years, she's never gotten a movie, so she's appeared in last year with I'm saying more than 75 years.
I don't want to get political, Dragon, but I think that kind of stuff is what makes me hesitant to even talk about Wonder Woman, because it's so hard to talk about Wonder Woman just outside of the context of all that and just talk about it as a movie, at least for me, because this movie, I think it's a good movie, I think it's a good movie. Captain Underpants, I think, is a great movie. Okay, so let's just kind of transition.
I'm just saying the last thing that they hit upon with children laughing just took me back to my childhood of like, oh, enjoying those books. That was kind of the children laughing that really got me. I was like, yeah, that's a fun experience. Okay, so yes.
So yeah, just kind of run short on time, Drags, so just a few freeform conversation things. So speaking of bringing you back to childhood, this is one of the best movies I've seen in a long time when it came to recapturing that feeling of childhood imagination. And Dragon, I love the way that they use the comic books in this movie. It's so great. I still have stacks of comic books in my closet of characters that me and my friend used to draw. Like, we were like a George and Harold back in the day, man. This was more high school than elementary school, but still, like, it definitely, like, and in elementary school, I remember I was like writing short stories and stuff like that. I actually read an Atlantis fan fiction to the class, if you can believe that.
Honestly, I think Captain Underpants may have introduced, I think, not only myself, but a lot of kids, just kind of the idea of making your own comics, just kind of drawing your own comics based on just having a love for superheroes or anything you're into. So it's kind of like, it's made it look like that easily anyone can do this sort of thing. So I think it's kind of what Captain Underpants put forward there.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And like I said,
it's a great message.
I just think the movie just does a fantastic job of just encapsulating that, and just also just the idea of, like, we never see fucking George and Harold on smartphones. That's so refreshing, Dragon. It's like it's Peanuts all over again. I'm like, yes, thank you. This movie celebrates kids being kids and having a fun time and hanging out with each other in a fucking treehouse, and I love it for that, Dragon. Oh god, this movie just really does it for me. I understand this movie's not going to be for everyone. I understand there's definitely going to be some people that are like, this movie's better. No way this is better than Logan. Technically Logan's probably a better made movie. But this, like I said, I could just see myself watching this movie 100 times and not getting bored of it. I really could.
It definitely is a very rewatchable. Honestly, I'm dying to rewatch again. I don't know if I may get the chance, but I would love to rewatch it. When it comes to DVD, of course, we'll be rewatching like crazy. But yeah, it's the humor is very sharp in it. I like that what I loved in this movie, and speaking of the technology briefly, is that you're right. It didn't occur to me until you mentioned, we don't have smartphones. Like, the most high tech we go is at the turbo toy, which we saw in the trailer. We saw that in trailers. That has electronic eyes. It's like kind of those kind of the old not Chia Pet, the old, like, kind of the robotic dog eyes.
Oh, the Tamagotchi.
Yeah, the Tama, it's like the Eve eyes. How Eve has like kind of the multi,
right.
Sort of, the light bright eyes sort of thing. It has like one of those things. And that's like the most high tech we get in, because it's not just like big cartoony bulgy eyes. Instead, it's like a little technological. So, I mean, that's as well, because that was like science. Anyway, but what I'm getting is, I love that we added some dimension to these guys. Not only, it's like, that's what shows you real love there for the sorcerer. I love that without getting too into it. I like that we got to know we got to know. No, not only do we get to know him, I'm talking about
we get to know him. Yes,
we do. We have some funny backstory on him. What I want to focus on, we Principal Krupp. I love that we get layers.
As a character is fantastic.
I know. I love that we did such great stuff with Krupp, and with the origin with Krupp was a little flawed, and we made it much better in the movie, I think.
Absolutely. Because Krupp in the books, I remember just being kind of a nightmarish asshole to us.
That's the thing. He's just kind of a taskmaster, but they added some levels, added some, like, if not likability, at least you understand where it's coming from. I think it's a great message to send. Again, this film is just a great movie to show to kids, I feel. But again, it's something that everyone can enjoy. So I don't want to say it's just a kids movie, but again, it is something great to show kids.
It's funny that you mentioned that, Dragon, the terminology of that, because I would call this a kids movie. I wouldn't call this a family movie. I would call this a kids movie. But I say that in with the most praise I could possibly get. It's like the best fucking kids movie.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
And it's
like the Rolls Royce of kids movies.
And I love that it's imparting these lessons through a kid's point of view, through Harold and George. Which, by Harold and George, of course, they were great protagonists in the book, and here we keep that quality. They're great. And I love how they
fully realize voice acting is perfect on them, writing's perfect on them.
Absolutely, and again, it's like with their view of Krupp, it's really interesting how we just kind of see like the layers of it. It's almost like how a child would see their parent. It's just like, what their occupations are. Instead of like who they were actually human beings like you. They're actually they were a kid once, sort of deal. And again, without getting too into it, again, it's really interesting the levels we get there. We also just kind of fun one-note characters like Melvin.
Who I was amazed who voiced that guy, by the way.
Oh, we knew going into it who voiced him.
I didn't know.
Oh. Well, yes, Melvin, yes, voiced by, of course, Jordan Peele.
I was when I saw that in the credits, my jaw dropped. I was like, "What? Jordan? What?" Can we just
I
give it
told-
up? Can we just
I
give it up
told
to
you.
Mr. Peel? That guy is having a year, man. He's
He
having
is.
a moment right now.
I told you, Tiki, those Key and Peele lads are going places.
Yep.
The next Keenan Kel, if you will.
Oh, I think they're going to be more successful. No offense to Keenan and Kel. Keenan's doing his thing on SNL. Kel, he's
Well, he's in animation. He's promoting the Split and stuff.
okay.
Right
Fair enough. But I'm just saying, I think he and Peel have the potential to be household names.
That's true. I'm just saying, like they're King and Kel for the next generation. Sort of
Sure,
thing. They're
sure.
going.
Sure.
I-
Anyways,
All right,
talented young
let's
lads.
right. So just real quick, let's hit upon some really cool stuff that we like. So again, the fourth wall breaking was fantastic.
So I would say maybe the best fourth wall breaking in an animated film since fucking Emperor's New Groove.
I'm glad you pointed out. Here's what I kind of feel the fourth wall
It
breaking.
very
It's kind
much
of a
reminded
mix.
me of Emperor's New Groove.
Sure, here's what I'm saying is it's a mixture because I love, of course, we have a scene that directly pairs this, and I love that we kept this from the trailer because honestly, this bit in the trailer sold me on the movie even more so than I really was. Just like wanting to see, it's like, oh my god, they have an actual take on it. So basically, it's Ferris Bueller meets Emperor's New Groove in terms of the fourth.
Sure.
You can actually, you can stop things like the Emperor's New Groove, but you can interact and while no one's noticing it, like Ferris Bueller.
Oh my god, it's so good. Can I just mention my favorite gag in the movie?
Yeah, sure. I'll piggyback off because you and I directly tie into our moment, so you go on.
Okay, so this gag happens, and I don't really consider it a spoiler because it happens about 5 minutes in. It's like, it's basically like George and Harold, or like, the opening just kind of George and Harold.
They give us a walkthrough of the status quo, essentially.
Right, and then they have like a small victory over Crump, and then it's just like, that's the movie, folks. Bye. That wrapped up sooner than I expected. And I just can't get over it. Right? It's just like, the credits start rolling, like directed by George and Harold, starring George and Harold, written by George and Harold, produced by George and Harold. Oh god, it's just so well played, Dragon. That whole moment, everyone kind of jokes about, like, oh, if this would have happened in a movie, then it would be over a lot quicker. They actually play that, and it plays so well. Oh my god.
I've seen that joke before, but it was by a very special fourth wall breaking source, Deadpool. So Deadpool's in the Deadpool game, they've had something like that. It wasn't as like interactive as it was there, that's kind of the fun layer of it you get in this movie. But it's like this fun gag where Deadpool in the game, he killed, the whole thing's about killing Mr. Sinister. It's like kind of the mission of the game. So he kills Mr. Sinister. Cable's telling him, no, Deadpool, that's not. Basically tells him that's not the real Mr. Sinister. That's a clone. So Deadpool kills Sinister, like throws him like the crotch first into Cable's face, and he just basically says, okay, basically strikes a Star Wars pose, and very much like Star Wars, like da 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 da. It says, and then the starts to go into the credits, written and directed by Deadpool.
Oh god.
But Deadpool, then Cable Quiz says, that wasn't Sinister, I was a clone, you idiot.
That's great.
So I'm saying that, and they've done kind of the credits thing before. This is a fun layer on the, like, it's like, oh, it's real casual, like they're actually thinking they offended the movie.
Right, exactly. Like,
That
wrapped up a lot sooner than I expected.
There's all sorts of, like, there's a myriad of different types of fourth wall break we have throughout the thing. Very, very
Without
good.
giving too much away, Dragon, I love the mixture of different types of animation.
I know. I'm in full agreement with that.
Just put a pin on that.
So there's something we have mentioned again, like kind of with the comic book look again. Something I was really hoping for, that we do keep the 2D style quite literally. We do have some 2D bits in there as well, but again, other mediums too. Let's say that much. But yeah, we have a whole bunch of different mixture of things.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And again, it's these jokes out of left field seem like it's like Freakazoid style humor almost. It's like,
I'm glad you mentioned Freakazoid, Dragon. I very much think there's a direct parallel between the character of Captain Underpants and Freakazoid, especially the way that Captain Underpants is portrayed in this movie. He's just like the idiot superhero where, like, when he's a superhero, he's more destructive than just like the bland guy that he is when he's not a superhero.
It's Freakazoid meets diluted Buzz. It's like a diluted Freakazoid. It's like when Buzz Lightyear was diluted in the Toy Story films. Like, he thought he was a real space ranger, and of course, like, no, he's not. He's crazy.
Right.
And and literally, there's this great bit in the movie. It goes by real quick. I hope you enjoyed it. It's when Krupp is going by. He's making the whooshing sounds like he's flying, and it just reminded me so much of the way his arms are up, pretending to fly. It's exactly how Freakazoid did.
Sure, right, exactly. Yeah.
Whoosh.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Folks, just seriously, like, if you know, like I said, this movie is not going to be for everyone. Like, if you're just like not into animation or not into, you know, like animated comedies, this movie's really not for you. But I kind of like, you know, I love animated comedies, I love animation, and I love the book. So this movie just it just hit me right here, Dragon. It really did.
I'm with you.
I think this is a fantastic film. I like I said, this is it at the very least. I think this is the most rewatchable film of 2017 so far, at the very least. And it totally blew away every expectation I had for it. That's kind of why I love going into, like, I love experiences like this, Dragon, where it's like, you know, all the hype has been on Wonder Woman this week. That's all anyone can talk about. And it got to the point where I was like wondering, like I said, I was wondering if they even had like critic screenings for it. Because I make a point not to look at Rotten Tomato scores before I go into movies. I really make a point to do that. Because I think so much of movie politics and so much of expectations about movies have to do with Rotten Tomatoes nowadays that I just kind of phase Rotten Tomatoes out. I pretend it doesn't exist. And so, you know, for that reason, I had no idea what the critical reception was to this. Like, for all I knew, because no one was really talking about it, I really did think there was a possibility that this film was going to be fucking awful. I really thought that was a possibility walking into it, Dragon. And so it's just like, I can't express how happy I am that not only did it just blow away every expectation I had, it's just, I think it's legitimately one of my favorite animated films, you know, of the past couple years. I mean, let's see, I don't, like, you know, I definitely think, yeah, I mean, it doesn't have like the emotional punch of something like Zootopia or the social commentary of something like Zootopia.
It's kind of like you measure up the Storks.
Oh, it blows storks
But,
out of the water. As much as I like storks, it blows storks out of the water.
I'm saying to compare it to for comparison's sake, but yeah, I mean, saying obviously it's better than storks. I'm saying.
I mean, I legitimately think this is gonna be like a new Emperor's New Groove for me, where I'm just gonna quote it and like, you know, like I'm really, really happy with this film. Like I said, it just brought me back to my childhood. I love the emphasis it has on the comic books and everything like that, and
it has one of your favorites in it. It has Kirsten Shaw.
Yes, it has Kristen Shaw. Yes. I'm glad you mentioned that. I picked out her voice as soon as I heard it. I was like, that's Maple. That's Maple. That's Maple.
And I'm convinced that she's an original character for the movie, and it was kind of a nice.
I'm pretty sure she is. Yeah.
And again, connecting to Krupp's story, I think is a really good move to kind of do that. So
I agree.
Right.
Okay, that's all I have, Dragon. I'm glowing about this thing, man. I really am. I did not expect to love this movie, and I really
I'd really like to talk about it further, but again, we want to save that for another more in-depth discussion.
Of course.
But it was just, I think it's very much in service to what Dave Pilkey was going for, but it also has this great kind of message. Like all the simplistic kind of like, you know, like it's like, oh, something's being threatened here, but what's being threatened here is something that we should all kind of take to heart.
Sure.
Like good messages all throughout, and just kind of like it's like it's not on the nose, and any time it does it, every time it seems like it might be hitting itself on the nose, it calls itself on it. So again, essentially this is I mean, it's going to sound like really high praise, but I mean, it's kind of warranted. It's again, it's kind of an animated Deadpool. Like you and I were kind of talking, like if they're going to kind of go with the fourth wall, you know, with all the fourth wall breaking, we kind of knew was on the rise. And it was sort of like, if we're lucky, it could be kind of Dreamers having somewhat of their own kid-friendly version of Deadpool.
Sure.
Which, I mean, again, I don't want to just make an oversimplification like that, but in a way, I mean, it could be a good franchise for them, but also be like, you know, a lot of fun and a way of kind of getting kind of some, naughty in the sense of like, oh yeah, kids shouldn't be doing that, but that's how it's all fun. Like they're all shenanigans.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of fun, really, really good movie.
Okay. So, folks, thanks a lot, and stay tuned. We will be doing a spoiler cast on this. And until later, say it with me, Dragon.
Troll.